Hello everyone, welcome to Introduction to Linear Regression. Let's get started. Alright, quick review. Remember, when you have a set of ordered pairs, your x's are the inputs. They're independent values, and they're the domain. Your y's are the outputs, your dependent value, and the range. Now, if you want to know whether or not your set of ordered pairs or your relation is a function, remember the x's are not allowed to repeat. You cannot have repeating inputs. The y's, they can repeat. If you want to think of it as y for yes, they can repeat. Now, when we have a relation or a set of ordered pairs like we have here, we want to plot it onto the graph. So we start with -2, -5. That means we move over 2, down 5. So this is where we would plot our point here. And then 0, -1, and 2, move over 2 and up 3. Now, we want to find the line that fits these points. The next thing we want to do is find an equation from this line. We have our slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where m is our slope and b is the y-intercept, which you can see this is where it crosses the y-axis. So for the slope, we want to look at the difference between 2 points. Here, from this point, we moved up 1, 2, 3, 4, and we moved over 1, 2. So that means we did rise 4 over run 2. 4 over 2 simplifies to 2, so our slope is 2. That means our equation of our line is y equals 2x, and like we said, our y-intercept crosses at -1. So we plotted our points onto the graph. We found a line that fits those points, and then we came up with an equation, a linear equation, from that line. But what happens when you plot your points and they look like this? This is a scatter plot. You can't exactly draw a line between all of these points. So that's where linear regression is going to come in. You'll be able to put your data or your points into the calculator, and it will give you the line of best fit. And the best part is that it will give you the equation of the line of best fit. So let's do this example together. We have Bill begins a diet when he weighs 268 pounds. After 4 weeks, he weighs 250 pounds. So our ordered pairs would be at 0 weeks, Bill weighs 268 pounds. And at 4 weeks, he weighs 250 pounds. So that means our data, our x's and our y's, x's are the 0 and the 4, which are our weeks, the number of weeks he's been on the diet. Whereas y happen to be the pounds. Now remember, the x values are independent values. The y's are the dependent values. So independent and dependent. So the y's depend on the x, which in this case, the pounds depend on the weeks. When you think about that, it makes sense because the number of pounds Bill has lost depends on the number of weeks that he's been on his diet. Now the next thing we want to do is find the equation of the line from these points. You can put this data, these points, into your calculator, and using the linear regression steps, which are actually on the next video, it'll give you an equation of the line. But right now I'm just going to go ahead and give it to you since you haven't watched that other video yet. And we have y equals -9 over 2x, and this would show up on your calculator, plus 268. Now, what is the slope of the line? Remember, using your point slope form, which is y equals mx plus b, m is your slope. So -9 over 2 is our slope. Now, what does it mean? When you think of your graph, Here's kind of a rough draft for what your line would look like. The slope is how the line is changing from point to point. Remember, X are weeks, Y are pounds. So your slope actually represents Bill's weight loss from week to week. So we can write that here. The slope represents Bill's weight loss. And the y-intercept, y equals mx plus b, is 268. That's where it crosses the y-axis. And you can see here it is 0 to 68. So what does it mean? It means at 0 weeks, when Bill first started his diet, he weighed 268 pounds. So we can put here that it represents Bill's starting weight before the diet. The last question, how many weeks will it take for Bill to weigh 180 pounds, is something you're going to see a lot. You have to go back to the equation that you got from your calculator and predict future values. In this case, 180 pounds, remember pounds are the y's, and we want to know how many weeks. Weeks are x. So you just plug this 180 in for the y over here, and you have 180 equals negative 9 over 2x, since we don't know the x, is still a variable, plus 268. Then you solve for that. You subtract the 268 from both sides, and you get negative 88 equals negative 9 over 2x. When you divide negative 9 halves from both sides, you'll end up with x equals 19.5. And you can round that to 20 weeks. So Bill will weigh 180 pounds after 20 weeks. All the steps to do linear regression on the calculator are in this next video. Thanks for watching and see you soon.